Hi friends, welcome to the Scapegoat Club. My name's Jess, I'm a psychotherapist, I'm a relationship coach. I talk a lot about difficult families, and this one is about whether narcissists know what they're doing and do they know how much they're hurting us. So I want to address that question, and then I want to get into why we keep asking ourselves that, why we can actually get stuck on that question. So stay tuned for that. But firstly, let's dive into, do narcissists know what they're doing? And this is something that I got stuck on for so long. So from research, from working in this area, and from listening to other experts in this field, the answer is yes, they do know what they're doing. They are acting consciously and they are deliberately making the choices that they're making. So don't be fooled into thinking they're confused or they're unaware of what's going on or really what the consequences are. Narcissists are often very smart, very capable people. They hold good jobs. They are upstanding members of the community. They are well seen in our societies. I have rarely, if ever, met an unsuccessful narcissist. They might not be top of their game, but generally they're getting on okay. They are able to make social connections and to move in social circles in this world. So what that tells us is that they can do it when they want to. They do know what the rules of the game is in terms of how to get on with people, how to be socially accepted. They know it, but they choose not to when it suits them. But when it comes to them hurting us, this is maybe where we get into a little bit more nuance. Narcissists are driven by their narcissism. They're driven by their defense and their need to feel good about themselves. And so what happens is they make choices to protect themselves. So narcissists know exactly what they're doing. They're fully capable of acting reasonably. They just choose not to when it suits their purpose. And so if what they do hurts us, then kind of so be it. I don't think it's necessarily, depending on the type of narcissist we're talking about, but it's not necessarily that they're out to deliberately harm us. It's more that we're kind of in the way. We're collateral damage. They need to do what they need to do to make themselves feel better. And if we actually get hurt in the process, then for them kind of, oh, too bad, so sad, because their narcissism comes first. That's where the pathology is. The narcissism has to be fed first. Everybody else comes second. And so really, because their pathology is so deep and that narcissism is so strong, they can justify it to themselves that what they're doing is necessary and right. And so I think it comes kind of a bit of a cognitive dissonance for them, where they need and justify what they're doing in their own minds because they have to, because it's just too damaging for them to either act in a different way, or if they really look at what they've done and they look at that they've hurt people, then they would have to do a lot of self-reflection and then work on themselves to modify their behaviors and change and potentially even apologize. They would have to do something like that, which narcissists can't do. Or they have to come to the conclusion that they are kind of monsters sometimes. When I think about this cognitive dissonance, and what I mean by that is that we can't believe two opposing things at the same time. So if we are telling ourselves that we love somebody and we care about somebody else, we also can't act in a way that's going to harm them. So we can't have these two opposing ideas in our head at the same time. And so what narcissists will do, and actually what cognitive dissonance is that we all kind of make excuses for the behavior that we're doing. We justify what we're doing. And I think back to some ways that, say, my father has acted and his justifications. And so this is a classic one. He can drive very, very aggressively, and it's kind of frightening to be in the car with him sometimes. But his wording, his logic is that things like, well, everybody else is driving too slow, or the speed limit is too low. And so if everybody drove faster, then it would stop people trying to overtake and pass other people in dangerous situations. So the problem is everybody else, and actually he is justified in driving like a bat out of hell up other people's asses and in like crazy scary mode because he thinks that he is right. So coming back to, do narcissists know what they're doing? Yes. But they believe that there are extenuating circumstances, basically, and that they're justified in doing what they're doing. This is actually a very dangerous situation for us to be in, because when we're in relationships with narcissists, what that means is that they then have to get us to buy into their truth, and that's when the manipulation comes in. And so a classic one would be, well, it's because of how you acted, I got angry, or I had to lash out, or whatever. So therefore it's your fault because I've justified it. So what happens is that when we're in close relationships, we have to buy into their reality as well. We have to buy into those delusions, those untruths, those complete fantasies that they have made up to support their narcissism. So that's where gaslighting and other techniques can come in, and it's very, very damaging for us. It creates a lot of confusion, and we can end up really doubting ourselves and our reality. It's an incredibly unhealthy and dangerous place for us to be in for a long period of time. So I want to come back to, though, this question of why we ask whether narcissists know what they're doing, because I think this is actually just as important as that piece. I think we can get stuck on this idea of, do they know what they're doing? Because often we love them, we've been in a relationship with them for a long time, and they've showed us their good sides, right? They've got that lovely side that we really want. Or if they're parents, then they're our parents. We're wired to want that love and connection with them. If they're a partner, they may have love bombed us for a long time. We might have children with them. There might be a lot of reasons why we want to have this relationship with them. And so that's the first reason why I think we want to believe something different, because if we believe that they know what they're doing, then we have to believe that they are kind of monstrous. They have got this dark side, and that's a scary, horrible thing. And we come back to our own cognitive dissonance. So we can't believe that we're in a close, loving relationship with someone who's that bad. Otherwise we wouldn't love them. So we have to come up with our own excuses and our own other reasons. So I've had conversations with a lot of people in my therapy who was like, well, maybe that's not it. Maybe they've got another mental illness. Maybe they're bipolar. Maybe they've got a lot of depression or anxiety. Often narcissists do have a mental illness on top of this personality disorder, though. You don't just get the narcissism, because it is a difficult place being a narcissist. Eventually it does catch up with you, and you end up in a socially difficult place, and relationships end, and there's a lot of inner turmoil. So it makes sense of that. But don't get that confused with them, again, not knowing what they're doing. But I think the other reason why we can't wrap our heads around it, and it's really hard to kind of accept this idea that they do know what they're doing, is because we are wired in so fundamentally differently. Most people are just not wired in the way that narcissists are. We have those connections in our brains and in our bodies and in our souls that say, I don't want to hurt somebody else. There are consequences to my actions, and this is a step too far, or this is too much, you know? And I think also narcissists can be so good at fooling us that it just doesn't even cross our minds that they could be deliberately doing what they're doing. It seems like such a fantasy. It seems like a bridge way, way too far that they would actually be deliberately treating us this way. It seems so implausible because they're so good at putting on that other act. And again, that comes back to the fact that they do know how to behave well. They do know how to do it. They just choose not to. And I don't think actually they can do it for an extended period of time, but they can do it for a bit of time. And so that is what tells us that they can do it. They have got a choice. but they choose the dark side. They choose what they have to choose, which is their narcissism over us. So friends, I know this is hard. I know it can be really painful. There's a lot of grief and sadness and I think anger when we figure out what we're really dealing with. But also at the end of the day, it's better to know. I think it's way better to know, and then we can decide what we're going to do, and then we can choose healthy, respectful, consistent relationships rather than these games, these roller coasters, and a lot of harmful, abusive behavior. Please take care. Thanks so much for being with me, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye for now.